welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
On the front at the moment, and Category 4 love to do this, Matt. They love to push on, but it's such a big race field, Category 4.
Here they go. It's Maillard on the front after leading them out the blocks. He showed that intent on the very start of this race. He's pushing again. You can see Graves is moving up with Primero, with Krasnich. Simeons is on his way up as well. One of those hitmen. Oya making his way up towards the front. Well, now, one man who's not doing that is David Talbot here. He's pushing on. He's opening a little bit of a gap now, being followed by Kaminsky. Talbot, Kaminsky, Osborne, though, to watch this action unfold in front of them. What a place to be. Watching the action here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. They're bringing you the action. They are watching all these races simultaneously, trying to pick out as much as they can for everybody at least. The flags are waving, the flares are being shot because I think now 8 watts per kilo. This is an effort, this is not an attack. He's looking to ride them off his wheel, but he's being answered by Michael Kaminsky. Mr. X100 now on the move. The UAE clan team sending rider after rider down the road to keep everybody on their toes, to really make everybody work hard. Now this is a big attack, 9 watts per kilo coming out from Martin Martins. He's on the move now. What response are we going to get? Osborne winding it up in pursuit, but Martin Martins goes again here, and it's Osborne who's going to chase him down.
So Gallo goes through, he's pushing around the corner. That is the finish banner. Gallo is going to take it in the Category 4 race.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is Qualifier Race number 2. It's the men's race. We've just been watching and putting words to the action to an intriguing and very varied women's race. Make sure you go back and have a watch. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with
Emma Martin. Great to be here for the men today.
It is indeed. Do get in touch with us. We've had lots of people get in touch. Thank you if you have been doing that. Our social media feeds have been inundated by people letting us know what you've been getting up to. It's really, really cool. So make sure you follow on the tags that were just flicking across your screen. Now, we are going to have a return to one of the absolute classics. This is almost our datum point when it comes to the Sunday Race Club men's race, because this is the course where, certainly for me, it all began. Going up the Jebel Hafeet. Emma, it's monumental, isn't it?
No, it's a cracker. 45 kilometres of racing, 1,041 metres of climbing. And there it is in front of you. 2 climbs. The Category 4 aquarium climb coming at 16.4 kilometres. It's 3.3k in length. An average gradient of just 2.9%, but it does make selection of the packs towards the end of the race. 10 kilometres of climbing in the Category 1 Jebel Hafeet. It's 7% average gradient, and it does indeed kick to 13% in places.
So we're going to kick off with our Category 4 riders in the red, and they are lined up ready to go. So a Category 4 teams, the Tour de Force, the WTBR Bauhaus Sport Club, and the Anzacs all lined up and good to go here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. The first race teams hitting the race route and away from the pens they go. So on to the course with our Category 4 riders. As you can see, these riders moving away. Luke Allport, no surprise to see him right up at the front, but looks like a nice big group going away. I mean, this is a big race field.
Yeah, 59 riders on the start sheets today, and you can see that huge pack having come up and out the start pens and onto the course proper, and it is the riders we would expect to see here. So Francis McMurtry and Allport from the Anzacs are here. We've got Mark Dadson is in here, Demanuan, Elos, Abello, Koking, Kaluma, Ramos, our normal fast starter. We've already talked about Noack being in here, Agudelo as well, Cadabona. It is a packed race field, and such strong racing throughout September from this race field. We're into qualification Qualifier 2 in October, but 14 different riders took top 5 places during the 4 races in September. So the strength and depth in Category 4, really, really good to see.
And great to see those teams on the start list. The Anzacs teams of Francis, McMurtry and Allport, we know they're all aggressive riders. We've got the Bauhaus Sport Club in here. People like Ola Warren in that group, WTBR. And, of course, Tour de Force. And Tour de Force, one of the teams who have got their event on as well on the standard social ride. They've got a great social ride. Absolutely love their concept. Please do get in touch. In Lloyd on your screens at the moment there. And in part of the Tour de Force teams. Tour de Force, they're going out and they're going to ride every route across all of the different worlds on MyWhoosh, one by one.
Oh, excellent. So you can explore all the worlds on MyWhoosh, all the routes on MyWhoosh, ride with the Tour de Force team, and then you must be able to be on Discord and chat to everybody on the ride.
Yes, and that's where you join the ride. Get to find out there's a Discord channel. Follow the links on the social media. You can jump on board on the MyWhoosh tags on Instagram, on Facebook and co. Really, really key. And don't forget, of course, that's at 7 o'clock GMT.
Yeah.
So on a Thursday, if I remember correctly.
So if you're thinking about joining the Sunday Race Club and racing, these rides are a really great opportunity to ask questions, to find out what it's actually like to race the Sunday Race Club, and to get a feel for things before you commit to joining.
Yep, so jump on board. That's the Tour de Force team, Ian Lloyd and co out there. Do make sure you jump on lots of different times, not just that. Lots of the different teams that are putting on different rides, people like the Hitmen as well. So please do make sure you go on board, get out and riding, hoping to be on board with them at some point. I suspect Emma will be riding the Tour de Force one rather than me. So it could well be Emma who's going to be joining.
You never
that
know
ride.
who's on your ride.
You don't. I've bumped into all sorts of people on the MyWhoosh social rides. It's always great to see. So the race action already unfolding as we were telling you about the social ride. It's no social ride for Mr. Nunez at the moment.
No.
Yes, he is already kicking through, looking to break this up. Behind him, you can see David Nowak leading that chase behind, but it's revolving round in that big pack. Nunez opening up the throttles and starting to really wind this up. We're going to see if he can stay clear. Remember, our Category 4 riders, they left the pens. They get a 5-minute head start on the Category 3 riders who will be following behind. Category 3, they're on the start line. As you can see, Florian Dromard and co in here. And the squads here, well, the Colombian Andean team, they are pretty much our ever-present team of Julio Arrego, Carlos Arroyoeva, and we've also got Julian Munoz and Carlos Pulgarin. Real class riders, but it's a big pack.
It is indeed. 46 riders on the start sheets now. Munoz Giraldo from Colombia Andean was 5th last week. But this is one of our most competitive race fields, Category 3. It is anybody who could possibly take the win, from Hoyas, Staples, Maillard, Giraldo, Kane. Kane took a great 4th place last week. So take a look and see who could possibly be there today. So Category 3 in the pens. They are away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the second qualifier of October. There are 4 qualifiers in October. It's a great month to join because you need 2 verified rides in the qualifications to qualify for the final. So if you're not in it yet, you still have an opportunity as we jump back in Category 4. And that's because we've got an absolute attack going off the front here. They've just gone first through the first sprint segment of the day. There are 5 300-meter sprints along the way before the Hafeet, and it's Ola Warren with a time of 25 seconds at the moment who is leading the charge through that segment. It's going to be this category, Category 3, who get there next.
They are indeed. The riders are on the way out, and we're just in. We just saw Cy Bradley going through. Cy, of course, a regular across esports. Been great to see that he's been out and getting in some practice ready for the Sunday Race Club. You can follow him I think he's on Instagram amongst other places, and good to have Si on board. Lots of riders out and racing at the moment, though, in Category 2. It's gone from the gun. Ben Kirk and Justin Roy are the two riders who are ripping this up, and it really is a roller coaster. And once you get away from the first few hundred meters here, this is a really tough route, rising, dropping, it's curving so that you can get out of sight as well. And this is going to make life difficult behind. You can see already on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, this is breaking the race up.
Well, it is indeed, and the Antipodean riders of Roy and Kirk absolutely working together here side by side to push this race on, and they're pushing it on seriously early, not even 1.5 kilometres into this race yet, and they are absolutely nailing it. They're nailing it because it's a big pack, 46 riders, but they cannot forget they've got the Jebel Hafeet to come, and that is 34 kilometres down the road.
It is indeed, and then that takes us up to our finish with that big, long, iconic climb out in the United Arab Emirates that's been used on the UAE Tour as well as on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club at the moment. You can see McMurtry and Allport here in Category 4 really putting the pressure on. They are trying to stretch this group out at the moment, and they're doing that as they make their way down this descent. They're going to hit the uphill section as they come through. You see the dunes surrounding Category 4 on the right of your screen. They're onto the ascent. This is a step climb out from that low point as they make their way up. This is going to be tough stuff for them. Meanwhile, on another rise on the left of your screen, Category 3 also breaking up as well. And that is because of the pressure that's being put on by Kirk and Roy. They are the two riders on the front. It's rotating behind to try and close down, but the big pack's still chasing. Now, just keeping an eye on Saeed Al-Ramethri, tucked nicely in with this group of leading riders in Category 4. Using that draft, you can see in the center of the screen that the rider data, so that is the power to weight, the time, the heart rate, and the cadence. In there, the watts are currently in green, and that means that Saeed is doing a really great job of sitting in the draft, making sure that he's not expending more energy than is needed. And quite often, the rider who does the best ride is the rider who saves that energy for when it's needed, not expending it when they are out on the race route, and it is just going to go to waste when they could have been using it at a more opportune moment. So, Category 4, right-hand side of your screen. Category 3, left-hand side of your screen. All these riders fighting for their own individual category positions. At the moment, the gap is not staying at a point where I would be comfortable, certainly, because we've got Alessio Caligula here chasing down the two riders in front amongst others, and at the moment that gap's hovering at about 8 to 10 seconds.
We're safe.
This is the group that are chasing. Look at the distance. You can see in the view
look at the time. You know, they're not really chasing. The roll is coming round onto the front of that chase group in Category 3, but as soon as someone gets off the front, they come off at the pace. So Roy and Kirk are the two riders down the road. The pace just really not doing much at the moment on that pack.
And I think what that is that what is happening, they're looking at it. When it goes out to about 15 seconds, it gets brought back down to about 8 or 9 seconds. Because if you've got riders off the front, then actually what you want to do is make sure you don't do too much now. Moves being made to try and go across, I think, from Cy Bradley here. So Bradley's watts per kilo at the moment, 4.6 watts per kilo. He's coming through the sprint though, remember, so it could well be that Bradley has pushed himself right up into the mix. He's right on the front of this group, pretty much. He's got Cadiz around him as they go through the end of that sprint, but this could bring them across. Look at the amount of red that's going in there, the power that's being put down. I think they've thought, and he went to 15 seconds, and now they're going to try and kick on and bring that back. You can't let the gap go too far.
Well, this is a phenomenal start from the Category 3 race, and it is chasing those two riders, Kirk and Roy. They have absolutely decimated this Category 3 race to start with and lit the fire underneath it.
It certainly has, absolutely flying at the moment. So the riders working well at the moment in Category 3. As they come through, you can just see Category 3 and Category 4 are on their way through the two various different sections. out on the course. You can see, though, both on a relatively level section at the moment. That's because the category 3 riders at the moment, they are just at the top of a plateau. Category 4, they're in the bottom of a dip, and they're going to have a rise out here. So as they climb out, this is going to get steep. It's a step climb out here, actually, and this is going to be telling. And it also occurs when you're going in through the sprint, and that makes a difference to these riders. They're currently going through the sprint. We're seeing Luke Puck stretch his legs out on the front, wind it up, trying to take away that green points skin suit from Ola Warren. It looks like he's not put enough in to do that, to take that away, which means that Warren has overall scored more points.
I am loving the fight for these green skin suits.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Because and I'm sure everybody's taking pictures when they're in them. I would too, right?
Well, did you notice how Allport came off the power the second he went underneath the banner?
Yeah.
You know, it went from like 7 watts per kilo to 0.2.
It's almost throwing an anchor out when you do that, because particularly when you do that on a climb like this. We're now on the ascent, so you go through from that sprint where people are putting an effort in. If this was me, I would go now. I would be Dexter Abello.
Well, there you go.
Because I wouldn't have gone for the sprint, but what I would do is try and roll with the leading group and then push now. And that's what's happening. 4.9 watts per kilo coming out of Abello. He's on the front. He was just chucking out nearly 300 watts. Over the top goes de Manuan here. So Pablo de Manuan now leading up here. 5.1 watts per kilo. If we see this repeated attack on the front, we're going to see the pressure being put on the group behind. They are trying to answer it. It's still a big group, though, as they come up. This is going to take them to the roundabout. And this climb here up to the roundabout is very tough. It then levels out. But this is enough to break the groups up. Now, behind, you can see the distance between these riders, because a little bit further back, you can just see category 3. They're also on a climbing section, not quite as steep. And again, it is starting to break up in the pursuit of the 2 riders in front. Great racing in category 4 and 3 already. We've still got categories 2 and 1 to go. So between category 4 and category 3, a 5-minute gap. Between category 3 and category 2, a 10-minute gap. And then between category 2 and category 1, a 5-minute gap. Now, for those of you who've maybe not watched before, category 3 and 4 can see each other out on the race route. They're on the race in the same time. In a parallel universe are categories 1 and category 2. And they can see each other. But the 2 universes will not collide, so you will not find categories 1 or 2 able to see categories 3 or 4, and vice versa. And that means that with these big packs, the riders still have plenty of people to get mixed up in if the categories, when the categories come together, because that is bound to happen at some point. Let's jump in with our teams in category 2, the Hitmen, the Beast Mode powered by Rose, Capital Columbia, and the UAE Falcons team. Big names in all of these teams. The Falcons with Zaid Hamdan, Ahmed Al-Tanaji, and Hassan Al-Ramethri. The Hitmen, ever aggressive. And great to see the Beast Mode powered by Rose squad. Well, they've got 4 riders in there, including Mendekowitz, who has looked strong with Von Haren and Howeiler. They could well be the team that's going to challenge at the top, Emma.
Well, Mendekowitz took the win last week from Graves from Winfield, and that young rider, Cam Winfield, has been doing so well recently. So interesting to see how he does today on the Hafeet. Now, it was indeed, last time we were here, Betty from Category 2 who took the win. Betty in the race field today, as away go the Category 2 riders. They are up and out of the pen, and Don just having a little bit of an issue there, but he is up and out, and I'm sure, look at that, 8 watts per kilo. He's going to kick now and try and catch the rest of that race field, because the rest of the race field are away, and you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, Don making the catch now towards the back. He's going into the group. He is a strong rider and more than capable of doing that. So Kranich is in here today, Orengo, Aaron, Kirchner, Betty, Angarita, Dont, who we've seen with an issue at the start, Coincident, Roncalli, Barla, Cordrelli, Wayne Smythe is here too, as well as the teams that Matt talked about. The Hitmen have been dominant, but you know, Hubbards, who were one of the teams in the final in September, ran them very, very close. So whilst we've seen the dominance of the Hitmen, the others are catching and working out tactics to beat them.
They are, and I think that is really key, isn't it? They've got to look at the tactics to beat a certain Mr. Nicholas Spratt. He's up at the front already. He's got Phil Grace for company. So looking really interesting here. Grace working his way in with the group here and making his way right up to the front. So Graves is making his way in with Spratt, with Krasnich up here. Mayer is in here. Caster Mayer, another rider who we see time and time again, really putting the power down, really working hard. A great rider to follow on social media. There's a tip for you from Emma and I. We spend our lives looking and watching what our riders get up to across lots of different disciplines. It's a real pleasure to put words to the action, to everything from the UCI and BMX right the way through to the mountain bike, the road, and of course esports here. Remember, of course, MyWhoosh, the official partner of the UCI, right through to 2026. Really looking forward to seeing what happens and how that develops. And if it develops as fast at the moment as MyWhoosh is developing, it is going to be incredible. We're better today than we were yesterday. That is always a great stroke line. It's up on the screen when you jump in. And so please do make sure you come and join us on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Come and join us on a social ride. Lots of these teams putting on rides from Category 4 right the way through to Category 1. The Hitmen regular event hosts and riding Olivier Simmons of the Hitmen on the front of this group. Mayer in that chasing group with Von Haren, Filippo Quadrelli, another of our real strong riders in there. It's a real who's who at the moment on the front. This hasn't waited to go. There was no delay fuse on this. The moment that they go away, the moment that they were released from those pens, somebody let them go. The fuse had been lit a long time before.
Well, 51 riders on the start sheets of Category 2, Matt. For a number of these riders, that group would just be too big. But look at the bottom left. They are all still in there at the moment, and the quality of the riders in Category 2 at the moment, absolutely evident today. But then we have anybody who is everybody in the Category 2 field on the Sunday Race Club in this qualifier. Quadrelli, Primero, Biarhead, Swart, Munoz, Moreno, Holweller. This is a who's who of category racing, Category 2 racing on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So the pack are motoring here, 2.5 kilometres already into this race as we start to see the pace come off a bit and settle down in this Category 2 race. The concertina effect on this group has not taken place as much as some of these riders would like, but that's because of the strength and depth of the racers in this field. So Coinston is the rider we are in with at the moment. Winfield, Oviedo, Von Haren, Quadrelli, all in there as we flip over back to the start pens because we're about to start the Category 1 race field.
So the UAE clan team are Category 1 team in here. Pablo Popovic, SS, Mr. X100, and Michael Knudsen, the 4 riders from the UAE clan team in here. Lots of our regulars, people like Rakad Al-Thib, Reno, Al-Hamadi in here. Lots of names that catch the eye, like Fawcett, Hassan Sultan. Anybody in particular catch your eye?
Well, a number of riders in here. Tim Cutler, we're very much about his early attacks normally. Riders who aren't here today, no Vink, no Noren or Kaminsky. Noren and Kaminsky are both at the World Gravel Championships today.
They are indeed, and good luck to them. Hope that they get on well today. So we're into countdown. We are on the go of 4. Green, it's green, go. It's time to hit the roads here in Arabia. Head towards the Jebel Hafeet and ascend its slopes. 45 kilometers of racing. We've got 1,041 meters of ascent. These riders are going to push on. Are we going to see Lionel Vujasin going out and taking a win? A big climb here today, but he is on form. But can he match the climbing skills of the riders who are going to be looking to attack on the ascent of the iconic mountain here in the United Arab Emirates? We are going to watch all 4 categories as we drop in here with Category 2. In with Olivier Simmons, and at the moment his time going in and through, as you can see on your screens in the Expo Sprint. the fastest time in category to 26.480 through there. Nice fast time for him, and the pressure definitely on. Although this is one big group, you can see the riders are being churned in and out at the front. They real stretch on, and at the moment another attack going clear. Meanwhile, category 1, well, you can see we're in with Mr. X100, the real road captain of the UAE clan team here. He's the man who all too often is the man linking together the riders. They're looking to see who they're going to send down the road, who is going to be up in the mix.
Bada. I've got an update to my mention of category 1, because I've just seen Michael Vink in there. So Vink not on my start sheet. Maybe I printed it too early, but definitely in the mix in the category 1 race today.
Eager beaver, Emma, doing the research and getting the printing done nice and early. However, it does mean that we can get caught out every now and then by a rider. It's good to see Michael Vink in here. So let's take a look at the course profile. I'll remind you, if you're just joining us, of the route in front of us today. 45 kilometers of racing to cover, 2 category climbs. There's a category 4 climb, the aquarium climb, coming pretty much halfway through, 16.6k to 19.7, just in that first half of the race. The second categorized climb is the Jebel Hafeet. That comes between 34.5 and 44.5k. Then there's a 500-meter run to the finish. But in addition, do not be fooled by the course profile. There are plenty of other attack points on the way through on this rolling course. Plenty of times to put people under pressure. And we are seeing a very select group already on the front starting to really pressurize and put riders in trouble behind.
Well, Hassan Sultan is on the front at the moment on this category 1 race. He did indeed take maximum sprint points last week in Wollongong, so a rider up and about and possibly on the hunt for that green skin suit in the Category 1 race today. But Tim Cutler is on the front line, and Vujassin is there, and Vujassin, what a win last week from Lionel Vujassin, taking Michael Knudsen in the 2.3 of a second back to Knudsen, but Vujassin's first win, as far as I'm aware, on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club last week.
I think you're 100% correct there. And of course, taking away a huge prize in the racing, because of course, all of our 4 categories are racing for their own prize setup. So category 4 is our standard category. And that's where our riders start off, and that's where the prizes run from 432 AED to 2,160 AED from 5th to 1st. Qualifying races are individual classification only. Only at the end of the month do the teams get to play for that increased prize fund that includes the teams. Now, in the individual classification, you can see that the top prize moves up from 1st down to 3rd as we move up, and that means that now the top prize in category 3 is 3,600 AED, and that is a substantial increase on category 4. Increased again as we move up to category 2, 6,000 AED for category 2 win, and that 3,600 comes to 3rd. 5th place, 1,200 AED. But the big prize pot is the 10,000 AED for 1st, 8,000 for 2nd, 6,000 for 3rd, 4,000 for 4th, and still a whopping 2,000 AED for 5th place, making the top 5 in category 1 the biggest prize score. Now, we have riders from the around the world. So let's move on to the premium feature of the day. This is Around the World with Emma's Exchange.
Around the world with Emma's Exchange.
Around the World with the Emma's Exchange rate. So, Emma, we have riders from around the world. The prize fund of 10,000 AED. What does that translate to around the world? Where are you going to go to?
Well, my eyes were drawn to Ben Meir, the US rider in category 1, so I've gone for US dollars, 2,722 US dollars, 10,000 AED.
So a substantial sum, whatever you operate in, whether that's US dollars or you work in the 10,000 AED. Now, really interesting to see. We just had a quick look on the screen there. The riders going through the sprint section there in category 2. Remember, of course, that no prizes in terms of monetary prizes for the riders in the hunt for the sprint or the polka dot jersey of the King of the Mountains. However, Hassan Sultan wearing the green sprint skin suit as the premier sprinter at the moment in Category 1.
Yeah, but finishing in 55th place in terms of the sprint, Matt. So Category 1 taking it very, very steady through that sprint section in comparison to the other race fields. So really, really interesting to see. But great news for Ruben Dont, the rider who was off the back of Category 2 and missed the start.
Yep.
He is up and in the mix of the Category 2 race field now.
Yeah, so Dont making his way back in, as we'd expect. As you can see, 1, 3, and 4, pretty much big groups. Category 2, though, where the action's at, because you can see on your screen the chevrons floating across the right-hand side, flagging up that the pressure is on there. On the climb up to the roundabout climb, you can just see, taking the left-hand side of the roundabout, the pressure being applied at the front here. Olivier Simmons or with Jose Oviedo leading Category 2 up there. They've broken the race up. They are chasing down the riders in front. They know that Category 3 and 4 are further down the road in that parallel universe that is the Category 3-4 race. And at the moment, these two groups are working hard, but Olivier Simmons here, look at the chevrons on that screen. They are really chasing hard. So you go round the roundabout midway up the climb, and then you continue over the top. Then it levels off, and you can see the damage that's being done. There are riders being distanced off the back of that group. Now, real action in Category 2, and the same here in Category 4. Again, another break. Bello just up in front here of Nunes. Arvin Nunes really aggressive today.
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it, as we switch between the categories. Category 4 now, it's a Bello out in the lead. Strong rider, a Bello, as they come into this climb. Take a look, 16.5 kilometres into this race. This is the aquarium climb, and a Bello is pushing on. 5 kilometres, over 5 kilometres now for Category 1. SS buried in that group. He always is in that blue hat. Always a really quick way to spot him as he sits tightly in the group. Josh Harris is in there. Vink is in there. Mayer is in there. Talbot is in there. Paradines is in there. So is Popovic. All of these riders we would expect to see. Last week's winner, Vujasin, is in there as well. I could imagine that Knudsen has got to be in the mix somewhere too. So this Category 1 race field, well, absolute class in here again today.
It is indeed class. We're just doing with Hassan Sultan. He's tucked in. He's also easy to recognise at the moment because he has that green skin suit on. And marking your rider out by making it distinguishable, really, it's not just about helping us out. It's actually when you're riding. Emma and I both regular riders and been known every now and then to the pedal in anger in races. It is really important, isn't it, to be able to know what your rider, where it is in the bunch, to be able to recognize your rider. So that could be by wearing a white helmet, a blue hat, pink socks, gold shoes, have a bike that's a different color. All that personalization that you can get on MyWhoosh is really, really important so that you know who your avatar is in that bunch and where they are and what's around you. So whether you're at the front or the back is really, really key. And sometimes, I mean, it's very easy. For us, we are here in the studio, got a nice big monitor. We're looking at the screen focused on that. We're not having to generate any watts. We're not having to push our heart rate through the roof.
No, just a lot of hot air.
Well, exactly. Tell me about it. Studio's record temperature today, you and me between us. So at the moment, if you are Mr. X100, you are going to want to know exactly where you are. You're going to have to make sure you know where you are. And that is key, isn't it, Emma? When you're riding, it's a whole different thing than when you just sat watching.
Yeah, and some teams will want a quick identifier. So maybe they'll all wear the same headgear, or maybe, they'll all wear the same socks so that they can identify each other in the pack. Others are, like to be a little bit more inconspicuous. So it is down to choice, and of course the teams are able to talk to each other and be on the same channel. That of course always is a benefit. Now this is the category 2 race. They are currently just up and over this bridge in the city, so pushing on here, and we're seeing this stretch, and viewers, if you've not seen the bottom left hand side of your screen before, this is new to you. This is perfect to take a look at what is happening within the bunch, and you can see that green group, the category 2 group, stretching. This category 1 group completely different, one tight circular blob on the road, indicating they are all close together as they come towards the end of this sprint, indicated by the green banner, or should I say the start of this sprint indicated by the green banner. But taking a look at the behaviour of the group, no one really pushing on here.
No, and I think with this running into the climb, we saw it with the other groups. Yeah. We saw that with category 4. People were sprinting through this segment, and then we go on to the climb, and that makes it very, very dangerous in terms of expending a lot of energy. You push too hard through the sprint, you're going to pay for that. And if you've gone into the red, you've then got to recover. If you're trying to recover up a climb, when somebody else is attacking, you're going to lose just absolutely hours. It's just going to push you so far back. It's just not good news.
I'm not quite sure you're going to lose hours.
I could,
but
believe me.
But I get the spirit of what you're trying to say there, Matt, as you start to see this stretch.
I'm saying I would lose hours, I guarantee it.
On this category 1
You'd be waiting for me for ages. The poor team at the MyWhoosh Ops HQ, at the main HQ of MyWhoosh, they'd be putting everybody on 24-hour shifts just to try and get me in through the line, I tell you.
Well, I have been known to have a cup of tea at the top of the 25-minute climb in the Peak District if I've gone out on a bike ride with Matt occasionally.
Whilst waiting for me, yeah, thank you for reminding everyone.
But we are currently in with this category 2 race field, and they are pushing on here. Ruben Dont is doing some work on the front here, but Simeon straight in the middle of this group. They're on this rolling section at the moment, and it is up and down and up and down at the moment as they make their way towards 12 kilometres of racing. And you can see this category 2 race is now split into 3 groups. This is the leading group at the moment, and Gates is in here, Graves is in here, Biajo, Quintero, X100 just pushing on the back of the category 1 group as there's a stretch on the category 1 race as well. They're coming up onto the back of the category 2 race, and you can see the difference. You can see the green and the yellow on the bottom left hand side of your screen there, and this is making it a little bit faster and a little bit more furious as the category 1 race field starts to split as well.
So category 1 splitting on that roundabout climb, that section out over the top. So that is the first of the major climbing sections on the way in towards the first of our categorized climbs. Remember, the categorized climb that's going to come up will be the aquarium climb. Next big trigger point for me, Emma, between here and the aquarium climb is the RAK sprint. That comes at 11k. That actually comes in as you come through. That's on a nasty little bit of a riser as well. That is going to make things very difficult, I think, for the riders at that sprint point. Going to be pretty tough stuff. I think we're going to have to see how these riders deal with it. At the moment, though, Tim Cutler, man on a mission, 6 seconds up the road. He attacked through, up the climb, over the top, and he's continued to push. Well, and this is what has caused that damage.
Well, we know Cutler likes an attack, and he likes to attack early. And quite often, I think it's a deliberate strategy from Cutler. He really likes to mix it up. And
he didn't accidentally push on the pedals at 9 watts a kilo.
No, what I mean is it's not a deliberate... Sometimes I think from Cutler, it's not a deliberate race-winning move that he's going for. It's a deliberate move to shake the group and shake it up, and just to give it a really good wind-up early on to get the wheels moving in this Category 1 pack. So the wheels are moving in Category 1. Ruben Dont's wheels are moving because he set the fastest time through this sprint. This is the Abu Dhabi sprint. That is the second sprint of the day on this course. 24 seconds. Half a second quicker than Sultan from Category 1, who's gone through there. And Tim Cutler, a second slower.
Really interesting, though. Hardly anything separating Sultan and Cutler. And that, for me, indicates that Hassan Sultan, who's going for those sprints in the group, and Cutler, who is not in the group, were moving at a very similar speed. Basically, still holding the status quo. So despite that sprint, Cutler's still up the road. You can just see him in the distance just ahead. And this group is squeezing a little bit here, but I think they're relying on the ease of sitting in the draft rather than the effort and extra effort that they're having to put in to bring him back. So category 1 left of your screen, right hand side of your screen is category 2. Very different places in terms of being out on the route at the moment, because the category 2 at 13.9k, and they're currently some 3.8k in front of category 1. Further down the road, you can see that category 3, well, they are on the start of the aquarium climb, whereas category 4 leaders, they're over the top of the aquarium climb, and they're on the descent on the far side. So that gap opening up between them at the moment, because category 4 are on the descent. Luke Allport is in the race leading category 4, being chased by Abello and the big pack of chasers behind. Category 3, I think, if I am interpreting the screens correctly, I think they're all together in the race lead. So in some ways, I don't want to give any spoilers, but very similar pattern to the women's race earlier on today, which is
oh, no spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers.
It's not really. Well, maybe it was a little one.
No spoilers allowed. Well, talking about no spoilers allowed, Cutler is 7 seconds down the road. Pim van Diemen, the triathlete, back from some phenomenal racing in the triathlon world, back on Sunday Race Club, pushing on at the moment. He is the rider with Popovic at the moment, with Knudsen, with Kalman, with Limbun, who is pushing to catch Cutler as Cutler continues his drive down the road.
And Tim Cutler is dangerous. He's a dangerous man. He's the sort of
he's
rider.
probably a very nice man, but very dangerous in the racing.
Some of the nicest people I know are some of the most dangerous people I know. I mean,
on a bike.
Well, you on a bike going round a corner downhill, let's face it. So these riders who are out on the course with their fantastic bike handling skills and lights up, at the moment on the way down, Tim Cutler, to get back to sort of the serious point, Tim Cutler is a rider you don't want to give any ground to. I would not want to let him go off down the road in any way, shape or form. But really interesting when we look at the sprint segment here. You've got category 1 and 2 moving at similar speeds at the moment, despite both races being aggressive. And the name that's missing on there is Cutler. So when Cutler's on the attack, we would expect to see him right up in the mix. I think Emery's scrolling through as we speak, trying to hunt for Tim Cutler down on the results there. But I suspect at the moment, although he's out in front, that gap is at 10 seconds. And we're starting to see a response from the bunch behind. He's not opening the gap substantially enough to keep this there realistically up the aquarium climb. I think he's likely to be caught before we even get to the start of that. We're at 11.9k. The aquarium climb kicks in at 16.4k. I think that's going to be really tough at the moment, though. These sort of riders, as they've come out the other side of the RIK sprint, they have just gone over the first of the bumps. They're going to go hit the second bump here as they go up and out. This really is one of those parts of the course which tests the riders because of the change in terrain in terms of their modulation. So let's watch as they go up and through and take that left-hand turn now. This group all together at the moment. SS took nicely in this group. A man who does so much work for that UAE clan team in category 1. They're at the top in yellow. Category 2, you can see still a big group. Category 3, although it is aggressive as they go over the top of the climb, it's still a big group together there as well. And category 4 further down the slopes. So category 3 now on the descent down off at the top of the aquarium climb. The category 4 riders, they are in the depression at the far side. They're approaching that low point on the course. They are still separated on the ground, as are category 1 and category 2. Let's see who's going to be the next group of riders to face another attack. Meanwhile, category 1, really interesting to see here. Cutler's in front. That lead has been slashed right down. Cutler's going to come back into the fold. I think he's at 3-4 seconds, and look at the gap. You can see it here as we go down the side of the coastline. This fantastic view looking back here on a MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. You can see back behind Cutler, that group hovering around about 3 to 4 seconds. Frank Thompson, the rider who's in touch at the moment, trying to keep in touch with the riders there. You can see that green skin suit of our sprint leader. And that is Hassan Sultan, took nicely in the group. But at the moment, this group of chasing riders, they have it under control. Cutler not going too far down the road. And one thing, if I was in this group, I'd be doing, Emma, I would not catch Cutler. I would leave him out there to dry, burn his energy up, and also stifle any other attacks. Because the moment you bring Cutler back, that is often the point where riders will start to attack again. We'll keep an eye on Category 1. Category 2, on the right-hand side of the screen, coming in through on the aquarium climb. They've done the initial run into that aquarium climb, and the start of the climb is tough stuff, but they are nicely on here. And at the moment, this group just starting to wind the pace up here, contains all the regular favourites in here in Category 2. Olivier Simmons, the green sprint skin suit wearer.
Well, talking about riders who are in the mix, I have been being a bit cheeky, actually, Matt. I've just been having a look at the current results through the first section of the UCI World Gravel Championships. I've been trying to find Noren and Kaminsky.
Oh, yeah.
So Johan Noren is in Group 2 in the elite men's race through the first checkpoint.
Excellent. So he's in the second group on
in the second group on
gravel.
the road, on the gravel. Kaminsky is in Group 1.
Is he? Oh, so we have representation. And speaking of riders who are on form and going well, I've got to say massive congratulations to a certain rider, Tadej Pogacar. Another monument win, the final monument of the road season, really the traditional season closer, Il Lombardia, in some absolutely classic roads. I've had the privilege of riding on the roads of Il Lombardia, actually. I've actually raced out there. That's a really scary thought. And do you know what? There is absolutely stunning terrain and very tough. So to take that win of absolute inspiration, Tadej Pogacar, and probably no doubt joking and laughing his way around at the start and at the finish for the UAE men's team to Sylvia Persico's second place at the Gravel World Championships yesterday for the UAE ADQ team. So good day at the office for teams that are supported by and ride on MyWhoosh.
Well, Tim Cutler's been brought back in this Category 1 race, and Pim van Diemen's gone straight up and over the top. What
did I say?
So we've had one attack. It's been brought back in. We've got another attack, and on the right-hand side of your screen, that's the lead on the road at 24.6 kilometres. That is the Category 4 race, and it's Allport and McMurtry who are in the mix there. They are pushing on. They've got a big chase group behind them. Look at that, the riders coming across 1s, 2s and 3s. You can see on the bottom left-hand corner of that Category 4 screen, the riders are across the road. There's a big chase group, and then there's 1s and 2s further back down the road in this Category 1 race. This is a little bit of a dig from Pim van Diemen. 3 seconds up the road, Van den Eekhout, Popovic, Vink, Knudsen, all doing the chasing as they come up and over this bridge. It's a little bit of a kick at the moment, just shy of 4% as they continue to kick up this climb. Van Diemen is the rider they can see up ahead, and they are chasing as they stretch it here. We are just over 15 kilometres now of this 45-kilometre race. Very, very shortly, they will be coming up to the first Category 4 climb. I think that's when we're going to start to see some action and this group potentially split a little bit further. Not that we haven't seen any action.
Emma's just looked across and seen the disbelief in my face.
I know.
We're going to see the start of the action.
It didn't
I'm
quite.
Thinking,
no.
It really, if that was me in that race, I think my legs would have exploded.
What is that woman saying?
Well, I think I get your point. I think we've seen, it's almost been a bit of a false battle in some ways. We've seen speculative attacks, but I don't think anybody who's made a move prior to the aquarium climb realistically expects it A, to stick, or B, to be decisive. As you said earlier, I mean, I think you're quite correct. It is about thinning the group down. It's about putting people under pressure, but it's not going to win you the race, but it could make somebody else lose their race. Wow. And that is really key. But when you get to the aquarium climb, yes, race deciding moves can be made on the aquarium climb, and it can make the difference. We have seen riders on the aquarium climb take it down to the selection they want. Now, really interesting. Mr. X100 is tucked nicely in here. In the center of this group, it contains his teammates in there. We have got people like Vink in there, Popovic in there. We have got in that group riders like Knudsen and co. Now, we know Michael Knudsen had a tough race last time. Now, he was in that sprint, and one of the riders who does get in touch, please do get in touch. Don't forget, make sure you message. It is at Biking Emma for all things bike riding, racing related, pain cave related, windmill related, and anything of the spurious sights you see out on your rides out around. Do get in touch with me as well. It's at Matt Fixer Pain across all the social media.
Well, as our Category 2 and Category 1 riders come into and out of the aquarium climb, you're right, Michael Nelson does get in contact, and I'd be afraid because I know what kind of week he's had.
Okay.
If I was in that Category 1 group today, I would be afraid. That man has fresh legs. Well,
no, not giving much away. If they're watching live, you just could have given away. It doesn't always work like that. Sometimes.
Do you know, sometimes you have jelly legs if you've not been on the bike for a week.
Rest weeks, I'm not a fan.
Wow.
I'm not a fan because, my legs are regularly jelly. However, for me, not always the case.
Well,
so I think maybe you haven't given the game away.
No, I haven't, because some riders like to go hard into a race and they like a really hard session or a really hard week, and then they race well off that. Others race really well off a rest week and a run-in. But today it's the Category 2 riders that are now up and over the aquarium climb. Dont, after that slow start, has absolutely been flying. He's setting the fastest time in Category 2 up and over that climb. Now, Category 3, Orengo from Bradley. Cy Bradley coming to the fore over that climb and showing us what he can do. It's his first time on the Sunday Race Club, and he is absolutely getting into the thick of racing. Gallo and Cain, Roy and Noguera also putting in great times in Category 3 on the climb. Category 4, well, fastest time set by Luke Allport, who is not surprised. Ola Warren in 2, David Nowak in 3. It's going to be really interesting to see who sets the fastest time in Category 1. So Category 1 are just on the very base of this climb. It's very, I was going to say,
steady. It's very
flat.
steady.
They're on a flat section of the climb.
Yeah, it's a landing.
Oh my God. We're going to get a description of a landing again now.
No, we're not. Everybody can look back and work it out. Now, just taking a look back at Category 3 here, I know Emma just mentioned a number of the riders in there that have been right up in the sprints, working really hard. You can see at the moment, Albin Bogren on the front there, really winding it up. This is a bigger group, though, here at the moment in Category 3. They're working the way through, and I think there is a solo leader who's got a little bit of a gap up the road. I'm trying to make sure I've got the interpretation of our satellite view correct, but it looks to me like we've got this big group. Then there's the pack of Category 4 riders that we are catching. It's a big pack, and then there is one Category 3 rider in front. Now we're in with Cy Bradley here. Cy, first time on the Sunday Race Club. Good to see him in action. He's got to hold his own up against some very strong riders here. Has Bradley got the legs? Has he got himself used to riding on the platform? He's been putting in the training, and at the moment he's in the right place. Now the rider that they're looking for, Noguera, is definitely up the road here. So is Bogren. It looks to me like Orego also about 2 seconds up the road. Bradley trying to get across the gap. Can he make this? He's got the rest of the group coming now. Did he go too early? Has he got the ability to pick up the pace and jump in with them? He took a little bit of a breather. They are trying to pull back those 3 riders in front. This is going to be critical here because this is a tough climb out and up and over. It's leveled off now, and this is about trying to use the group dynamics now to get that drive on and to chase. So Category 3 on the right-hand side of your screen. Category 1 on the left-hand side of the screen. 2 races, 2 of our race fields here on the Sunday Race Club. As in Category 1, we're seeing another aggressive move. This time it is the man who took victory last time. That is Lionel Vujasin, who is on the attack. So Lionel Vujasin now starting to test everybody's legs. Popovic from the clan team leading the chase behind. Then it's Cutler, Martins, Van and Eekhout, all looking to come and get that gap back down. Don't want to let a group go clear. That Vujasin it is who is leading them up here. At the moment, he's the Pied Piper. The rest are all of the followers behind, and we are seeing a move here. Who's coming across that gap? It looks to me like Popovic is the rider who's made the junction onto the back wheel there. He's made the junction. Now Cutler goes over the top, and as Vujasin is absorbed into the group, Cutler takes up the running at the head of affairs. But that is a real pressure moment there. It's been answered. The attack by Vujasin has been answered so far. What damage has it done behind that group? It's looking still all together to me, Emma.
Yeah, well, this is a short climb for these Category 1 riders, and the strength and depth of this race field is really not going to do a huge amount of damage, though Michael Vink is pushing on now at 7.6 watts per kilo. We said it might not do a lot of damage, but he's going to give it a go. He's going to see how stretched he can make it. So Vink pushing on at the front. SS is there as well. Walter is there. Kalman is there. Knudsen is there. Vujasin, Panitsa. They are all in the mix at the moment. So this group now up and to the top of the climb. That is the polka dot banner as they swing around the right hand corner. They are up and over, and they are all together. So that pack all cresting the top of the aquarium climb together. Christoph Thiem setting the fastest time, 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Force it into Van Diemen in 3, Vink 4, Vujasin 5, Cutler 6, X100 is there, and so is Paradians in 8th position. Half a second separating the top 8. That was a pack going under the line.
And all 8 riders from 8 different nations as well. It shows you the multinational mix in here of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So great to see people from all over the globe coming in and joining us here on the Sunday Race Club. Don't forget, if you want to jump on board, really easy to do so. Make sure you go to the website. So it's www.mywhoosh.com. If you go on there, you can download the MyWhoosh program. It's available on iOS, on Windows, on Android. So you can put it onto your, if you've got the latest iPhone 15, you can pop it on there. You can mirror it up onto your big screen from there. You can put it onto your PC and put it onto your laptop, and then send it from there up onto the big screen in your pain cave. You can, of course, jump on board and just play it on your phone. And jump on board is what we want you to do. So download it, get on board. If you need help, do get in touch, guys. Support really, really helpful in getting you on. Come and get a ride in. Join one of the social rides like the Tour de Force or the Hitmen social rides. Jump on board with the different training programs. Make sure, of course, that when you do so, send the pictures. We want to see you first ride pictures. Send them in. Tag in MyWhoosh on Facebook and on Instagram. My_whoosh on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget, of course, make sure you tag in at Biking Emma and at Matt Fix Spain. We'd love to know what you've been up to. And of course, we're always following those feeds. Now, just jumping across, speaking of people that we've been watching, Simon Bradley now on this climb, tucked in with this group. So this is the Category 3 lead group. We have got all of our Category 3 leaders together. So clustered in there. Bert Kayan in there. Nogueira is in there. Carvajal in there. Arrego. David Winfield. Oscar Pulgarin is in the Sergio Hoyos. A real who's who of Category 3. And Emma, this is a big bunch. And it's a big bunch that's been swelled by Category 4 riders that have been caught and are holding on.
Yeah, they have been caught, and they are indeed holding on, and holding on for as long as possible, as we see the switch between all 4 screens at the moment. All 4 of these categories racing and racing hard as we are watching Cy Bradley in that Category 3 race. They are pushing on. Brett McMurtry in the Category 4 race. It is getting fast and furious towards the front of those categories as they are coming towards the hour.
They're coming up towards the hour, and Category 2 now lighting up the screens with the chevrons. So let's give you a reminder of our race route out today. The race profile, the aquarium climb the tough Ascent over the top that came out just at the end of the first half of the race route. Very, very tough indeed. A big dive down and then a big climb out. So be really watchful of the riders as they make the way away from the aquarium climb. That big climb out from the post descent, leveling off up towards the Leeward Desert Sprint. Really hard. It is the big penultimate section of climbing. It's not categorized. Personally, I think it should be, but then again, I think every uphill section should have a category climb on it. And as we make our way up and over, it's really critical. Now you can see over the top has gone Quintero, and he's gone over the top. So these riders have just left that depression. They've gone down the descent, they've gone up the other side, and at 26.5k, he is now really pushing on here. He's gone through the Leeward Desert Sprint, and he's starting to make his way in and through. So we're going to see how he gets on. Now, this is going to be tough stuff for him. Meanwhile, here we go. The next set of riders are making their way out and along through the middle section here. This is going to be Category 1. Hassan Sultan, the rider who's currently wearing the green skin suit of the sprint points leader. They're going to go through the finish, and this is not going to be contested. So I don't think it's going to change the status quo. We'll keep an eye on Hassan in that green skin suit. I don't think it's moved at all. So not departing, it automatically moves from one person to another. I'm sure the teams behind the various Grand Tours wish that was the case in real life. Sadly not. So as they go through, it's Benita who takes away the top spot, 28 seconds through there. Relatively slow time for a sprint segment. That is because we've had a lot of action, a lot of attacking, and a lot of answering of those attacks. And I think that is reflected here because for Category 1, this is a relatively slow power. I think they're saving it for here. This is that section I was talking about on the profile. This is the Ascent out after the climb. So we climb up the aquarium climb, we drop down, and Category 1 and now finished that descent. They've gone along the bottom and they're now on the ascent. This is the big attack point where you can put in the pressure prior to getting to our final climb. That's top left-hand side of your screen. Top right-hand side, Category 2 leaders on the front, currently motoring their way through on the descent, working well together as a very big group. Bottom left-hand side on the flatlands is Category 3 in there. They are Category 3 leaders making the way in and along at 31k, 33k down the road from our start pens. You can see our Category 4 leaders, and they are there at the front. But Category 4 chasers have got caught by the Category 3 pack, who are moving well. 2 kilometers on the road separating Categories 3 and 4. It is a little bit further between Categories 1 and 2. So going to be really interesting to see.
It is 3.4 kilometres. Category 1 are behind Category 2. Category 3 are only 2 kilometres behind Category 4. Now, admittedly, Category 3 and Category 4 did start first.
And they are further down the road.
And
so
they are
more
further
time
down
to
the road.
catch.
They have had more time to catch. And I'm sure we will see Category 1 close the gap onto Category 2. But it does tell me that Category 2 are moving well. Category 2 are moving really well. They started 5 minutes in front of Category 1, and I think their average pace has probably been higher than Category 1. As we're looking at this group, they are coming into this little kicker. As we flick quickly back to Category 1, because it's X100 who has put a little dig in. They too are on a short climbing section, and making the most of that is the UAE clan team. Mr. X100 pushing at 6 watts per kilo. Now it's Tim Cutler who has responded. Popovic in 3, Lindbun in 4. Cutler is there as well, keeping the pace high at the front here. They are kicking a little bit and trying to do some damage to the group, but the quality of this Category 1 race field today, they are a tight-knit group. They are going to come up this section. They are going to swing round the right-hand bend, and they are going to continue to progress with a little kicker before it flattens out. Now, making the most of this gradient is indeed the UAE clan team. X100 pushing. Ross Fawcett is in here. He is closing the gap as well. Popovic is watching the wheel. So is Christoph Thiem. So this group all coming back together towards the top of this climb. No one has been dropped from that bit of a push on the front there.
Dum, 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 dum. Nobody has been dropped. They haven't. And do you know what? It says to me that the categories are very, very close at the moment. We've seen riders move up, we've seen riders move down. We see that constant evolving of the race fields. And that, for me, really is a great sign. When the riders attack, when we see the pressure going on as it is now, when we're seeing it being stretched out on the climbs, and then it comes back together again, because people are able to answer the attack. But then it comes down to thinking about, where do you attack? Where do you put the pressure on? Because it is fine margins between all of these riders. Just seeing this Caroline there just trying to fight to get onto the back of the group, at the front of the group. It looks to me like we've got another little bit of a move on the front. There is pressure behind to close the gap back down again. Just going to have a little look to see who's gone down the road. It's Bart van den Eekhout who's gone for it. So Eekhout's gone off the front here. He's trying to stretch this out. Popovic is chasing him down from the UAE clan team, and I think Popovic wants to bring this back together again. They will want to set this up for their climbers on the final slopes on the Jebel Hafeet. That is going to be absolutely key for them. Remember, the Jebel Hafeet, that long, long climb, it goes all the way through. The climb segment finishes 500 meters before the very end of the race. Two banners in close succession at the top of the mountain that has seen not just the Sunday Race Club race, but not just our riders on MyWhoosh, but of course the riders in the teams making the way up over the top.
Well, category 4, they are the furthest down the road, and take a look at that upward gradient on the top right-hand corner of your screen. They're currently at 10.7% gradient under their wheels. They are definitely climbing. Category 3 on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, well, that had a number of category 4 riders in it who are taking that draft and moving quickly with them. Category 2, who we are in with at the moment, they are just over 30 kilometers now of this 45-kilometer race. They are moving towards the latter stages of this race, but it's still a big group. Now, just taking a look here, this group is stretching. Cam Winfield is in here, Dont is in here, Simeons is in here too, so is Graves and Orego. So all the riders we would expect to be in this category 2 race field at this point in the race, still all in the mix. Kranich is up on the front as well at the moment. Henry Use, well, I think he is the rider you can just see going around the corner in front. Now, Use is part of the Hitmen team. His teammates are in this pack, so no chasing for them as they continue to push, but the gap is not big at all, and I think they are all going to come back together again very shortly in that category 2 race. The category 1 race on the left-hand side of your screen, that is still one large group as they wind their way downhill at this point in time. It's a tight pack in this group. Look how close they all are as riders just push on to ensure they are with them as they swing around again, a right-hand corner, a left-hand corner, and keeping the pace high at the moment, just shy of 50 kilometers an hour.
So really flying at the moment. Emma, whilst I keep an eye on the action, how do you fancy keeping an update for us on Michael Kaminsky and Johan Noren? See if they've moved any further down. Totally different race, but you know what? They have been really key in riders on the Sunday Race Club. They're part of the family. I have to say, Emma and I really do feel that the Sunday Race Club and everybody on it, not just us in the commentary box, the team behind the scenes, of course, who make the racing happen, and of course, you as riders and viewers of it, one big family. We do feel that all the riders, wherever they are, we want to know how they're getting on, the people who we see week in, week out. So Carsten Mayer, who is in second place in that sprint section of the Dunes sprint there, the Silent Dune sprint. We see how he's getting on. We keep an eye on him and Carsten Mayer, Van den Eekhout to Ruben Dont. Keeping a check on that. Interesting that these pace and the power very similar between all the riders who are leading that sprint section in category 1 and 2. when we would expect category 1 to be the quicker. Now, going through there, coming out the far side, who's gone on the attack? Oh, no surprises, it's Tim Cutler. He's almost taken on the Phil Graves role of being the ever-attacking rider on the front of the race. And at the moment, Cutler, again, animating the action. Van Diemen chasing hard here. And in the mix are a number of category 2 riders trying to stay in. Filippo Quadrelli is in with Hassan Sultan, trying to stay in the group. You can see that they are really fighting to stay in with this pack because they want that lift, they want that draft, they want that assistance coming through. Big power going down though. SS over 300, just in 382. The peak of watts just coming out. I mean, we're in with Michael Vink now. He's also putting down the watts. Pablo Popovic sitting around about that 330, 340 watts marker as they come up at this section of climb. But at the moment, Cutler has got the gap. They are not pulling that gap back down again. So one rider off the front, Tim Cutler, attacking, being aggressive, trying to open the gap again, trying to split a splinter group clear. And at the moment, Cutler is really winding this up. These tactics of Cutler are great in terms of making life hard for everybody else. I'm not sure Tim Cutler thinks he can stay clear, but surely he must be hoping he can pull clear a number of riders. Pull clear 2 or 3 riders. Very interesting. We're starting to see Michael Vink move up towards the front of the group as they come up this climb, as they come into this section, because he does not want to let Tim Cutler go further down the road. Remember, the riders are racing in category 1. We have riders who ride on the World Tour who are out and racing against the very best in the world outside on the road. We have riders who are regularly racing off-road against the very best, and it's great to see them in action when they come back and race here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Tim Cutler at the moment on the front of the category 1 race, right hand side of your screen, watching SS tuck nicely in the pack on the left hand side of the screen. He is hiding in here, and this is about saving energy. This is about keeping things pretty smooth in there. Meanwhile, you can just see, after seeing SS in that pack, Mr. X100 is now in pursuit. Tim Cutler pulled 13 seconds out going up that climb, over the top of the climb, and he pulled that gap out, and the chase behind was not concerted enough. It didn't do the pulling back that was wanted. So let's see how they're going. So here they go on the way. Mr. X100 up onto the top of the climb. They're going to see how he goes. Can he stay clear of this group? He's got Pablo Popovic with him, interestingly. And I think these 2 riders going up towards Cutler from the UAE clan team is going to pull the gap down a little. Let us keep our eye on this as we go through. Emma, this is a really interesting move, isn't it, by Tim Cutler, going clear and then being chased, and the UAE clan team putting in a proper chase.
Yeah, it is indeed, because Cutler is really pushing. Cutler is pushing really hard at the moment, and Cutler's that 12-second gap. It's starting to come down a little bit, 13 seconds down to 11, but the timing is really, really interesting. 15 kilometers to go. They are very shortly to come on to the climb, and Cutler pushing on, and it is pushing the chase. Now, on the right-hand side of your screen, you have Tim Cutler. He is leading it, but take a look at this, and it has split the group here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chasing riders. Van den Eekhout, Popovic, X100, Limborn is there, and so is Vujasin. Knudsen 1 or 2 seconds back, just pushing on so that Knudsen closes the gap and comes down. They are all now bridging the gap and coming back together because the chase was on from the front. The riders behind just taking it a little steadier, but the chase group all coming back. So Cutler out in 1 on category 1. Around 150 meters behind now is the chasing group. Everybody who is anybody is in that chasing group as Tim Cutler stays out front. He's out of sight and out of mind at the moment because he's swept round the corner first, but those riders, they are going to come round that corner and they are going to see him. But Cutler is already going up the climb. So the bridge here is that in Cutler's favour. Can Cutler push on this bridge, or will indeed the chase group catch him? It's Vujasin that is doing the chasing, and the gap is now coming down. It's now at around 5 or 6 seconds, but the gradient is up. It's 7% at the moment as they swing up over the bridge. Has that helped them bring him back? I think possibly yes, but Who knows until we get up and over and down the other side, because Cutler is already gone. I can't see him, they can't see him, and that is what is important. So Cutler,
I can see him.
Well,
He's
I know
on the right
you,
of the screen.
he is on the right hand side of the screen, but they couldn't see him there in terms of the corners and in terms of the course, and that is what's really interesting. So Tim Cutler still out front, but the gap now just 4 seconds. He's about to take that right hand corner, and this group, well, the chase is on and they are bringing him back in.
Really, really interesting, isn't it? He goes on the attack, he puts the power down, he gets the gap, he provokes a response, the response comes, the riders behind have to expend energy chasing him down. It's kind of win-win in some ways for Tim Cutler, because he's dictating the pace, he's making them dance to his tune. He knows, he must know that when he pushes, they are going to respond. That's what he's after, that's what he's keeping on pushing. Gonna have to see how that continues onwards as we go on to the climb. Remember, we are at 32.7k. When we hit the base of the climb, that's at 34.5k. And when we hit the start, this climb kicks really hard when you go on. So when you come through, the climb itself, you go through the Al Ain area. It's part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site there. Real fantastic ancient history there. Real cradle of civilization. You go through from there up on to the climb. And it kicks off from the desert floor right up onto the ramps of the slopes of the mountain. It's a real quick, tough start to the mountain. It's not an easy transition, and I think that's going to be telling, particularly if they've been chasing down attack after attack after attack. It's brought him back. Cutler is back in the fold. Mr. X100 now going on the offensive straight over the top there, but eases off a little bit. He's going to see what happens here. Mayer and Cutler now back on the front, but this is surely not another attack from Cutler.
Well, who knows what's in Cutler's head at the moment, because he's been very, very active during this race. But it's Pablo Popovic, Michael Knudsen. They are towards the front of this ride with X100. You know, the gap is closing to the riders in the Category 2 race. In fact, they're about to catch Moreno. So the catch is made with Moreno. Will Moreno try and stay in the group? He might try and stay, but whether he can make it is another matter. As we can take a look on the right-hand side of your screen, the leaders in that Category 2 race, well, they're at 36.1 kilometres. They are on to the final climb of the day. They are on the Jebel Hafeet. They are pushing up, and it's Cam Winfield who is pushing hard at the front. Phil Graves is there, so is Olivier Simmons. Now, Cam Winfield, the young rider, has been doing phenomenally on both the road and the mountain bike in Australia this year. He's absolutely replicating that form on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. But this is the bit I love. This is the Category 4 race. And on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, that is the mountain snaking down behind them, and where all the riders are on the road. It's dominated by red at the front, but the blue Category 3 riders are hot on their heels and they are climbing the mountain behind them. This is the Category 1 race. They are not there yet, but they are not far off.
They're not indeed. That is the polka dot banner coming into sight with the UCI logo at the top. UCI's esports partner until 2026. MyWhoosh, the Sunday Race Club, the premier race series here on the MyWhoosh platform. Takes to the slopes in Category 1. On top of the tree are riders aiming for the top of the Jebel Hafeet. How long will it take them to ascend? How long will it be before they catch back the riders in front? They've given them a decent distance in front. The front of Category 1 on the right-hand side. Phil Graves, Cam Winfield, Olivier Simmons, Jonas Bjarhead lighting up Category 2. But Category 1 is now starting to burn as well, and the legs are going to be hurting. We are seeing riders already being distanced out of the back of this group. It's David Talbot who is doing the damage from the United States. 8+ watts per kilo. This is now in attack territory. It's gone skywards, and he has opened up the throttles. He set the afterburners on. He's got to kick clear. He's got to take off and lead them, but he's not doing so. Martins has chased him down. So has Van Aert. So has Cutler. Bujasin, Knudsen, Thiem, Fawcett, Popovic, Lindborn, Van Diemen. Carradine's not all that far off the pace either here. He's only a few seconds behind Mistakes 100 at the back of this group, staying in. And I think Hassan Sultan, after all that sprinting, is now paying the price here. Looks like Harris and Thompson are in trouble as well. So this is a real panic moment. Get on or get off the bus.
Well, the bus is on its way up the mountain. It's precarious on the corners as it swings out and climbs up. But, well, these three riders here are absolutely in danger of not going with them, because Panizza here with the riders ahead are pushing on this flatter section. These climbs are really interesting. The gradients kick, the gradients back off. Anywhere between 13% and a flat section is going to be found here. So these ride very differently to a constant climb. But once this climb gets going, it really just keeps giving. So Knudsen now coming to the fore of this group. Van Elst is there, Vujasin is there, Cutler is still here, Van Diemen, Fawcett. All of these riders are still in this group. I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus riders in this leading group. The rest of the pack, well, they are strung out behind.
This is so tenuous, the hold these riders have on the front of the race. It's so tenuous. They are literally hanging on by their fingernails at the moment. There is hardly any time to spare. Now you've got to go, and you've got to go now. If you get distance now, you're not going to make that back. That would take such a monumental effort, and we are on the Jebel Hafeet. Remember, this has very few moments of rest. Yes, the gradient does change, but the resting points are very brief indeed. We're ascending from that desert floor. We're going to make our way up onto the top of the mountain. At the moment, we're in with Michael Vick, and he is playing a little bit of a waiting game here. Is Vink maybe not on the form we would expect, or was he caught napping by the pressure put on the front? Because at the moment, Michael Vink is having to look at the riders in front and think about, is he going to get there? 2.1 watts per kilo.
Pace, you know.
He has. I think it's not his day today. I think he's decided, you know what, I need a rest day, and he's gone backwards. Bit further up the road, you just see Mistakes 100. He is looking to work hard here. He's got SS with him. He's got Said Carradine with him as well. They're going to continue to push. They're chasing behind Fink. The front of the race is exploding up the hill. And in front of them, Category 2, well, they're further up the hill still, because we have Simmons, Graves, Winfield, Bjarhead, Spratt in here, a Spina, a Rengo. But the leading group here, it keeps on breaking and reforming.
Yeah, it does indeed, and that'll be all about the gradient. You know, they're 1.6 kilometres up the mountain from Category 1. This Category 1 leading group have still got some way to go to catch this Category 2 leading group, and the Category 2 riders, well, they're pushing on. Category 3, the group has whittled down, you know, but I can see both of the Cahan brothers there, you know. So they are motoring really good. The Category 4 riders on the bottom right, well, they started first. An hour and 17 minutes of racing so far. They're currently at 39.2 kilometres, 45 kilometres this race. So taking a look at that, that's 6 riders leading that Category 4 race. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 riders at the front of the Category 3 race, and they are closing hard. I think very shortly we are going to see a bit of a catch between 3 and 4. It's around 600 metres separating them as we drop back in with Category 1. And
it's kicking off again.
David Talbot on the front.
This man is due a win. Surely, I mean, I've got a list of people who are due a win, but he's right up there. And that is because he's looking strong. He's ridden his way on the platform. He's got used to riding here. He knows how to put the pressure on. He knows how to put people in trouble now. It takes time to get that feel of riding at the front, riding with brilliant to see. Knudsen looking good. Martins is up there. Fawcett up there. Popovic. Van Diemen is chasing though. Van Diemen, rider who was so strong earlier on. You've got to get your timing right. Put the effort in when you need it.
Well, I also think the mindset of Category 1 has shifted recently.
Ooh.
You know, I think riders have taken a look at the start sheets. They've seen Pro Tour riders like Vink in there, like Osborne in there, and they've gone, I'm only going to go, I'm racing for third. and those types of assumptions have been made. But we've seen a real shift in Category 1 recently. Vujasin ran Knudsen to the line and beat him last week. Other riders, Martin Martins has taken him into the line and just missed it by fractions of a second. Johan Noren missed it by 0.2 of a second in taking Knudsen in. So people are realising and breaking down those expectations about what's happening. The UAE clan team in the September final did not win. Italian Gelato took the win from them. So I think the mindset of the Category 1 riders in this men's race is changing at the moment, and they're feeling like it's a much more open race. Now, that could be for a number of different things. Different riders coming to form at different points in the year, depending upon what they're doing and what their targets are in terms of racing. Like you said, Michael Vink is coming off of road racing and coming into the Sunday Race Club. He's having an easier ride today. He's having it more steady.
He is. He's taking it, and everybody is beatable. There's no such thing as a beatable rider.
But I think that motivation and mindset helps.
Look at Tadej Pogačar. On a good day, he's not beatable. On a bad day, he's beatable. And if you have a good day, he's a bad day. And he is, in my mind, the greatest rider on the scene at the moment. Bar none, fanboy time here at the moment, got to say. Even more so, bearing in mind that he can ride cyclocross, he can ride a mountain bike, he can also ride off-road, he can win a off-road monument, he can ride a road monument, take stages, climbs, tours. Great all-round rider. And I think for me, great to see that we get riders who race with him, like Michael Vink, who supports him on the team, racing on here, and yet the riders here, to take your point, know that they're beatable.
Well,
they know that they're
I think
beatable.
every Pro Tour team, both men's and women's, should have an esports rider.
Do you think it should be made mandatory?
I think it should be made mandatory to develop and grow.
Okay.
And the junior development squads. It would be brilliant. I mean, how good would that be? Anyway, we also have esports specialists, and those esports specialists are absolutely bringing it on. And I think the development of those esports teams is absolutely crucial as well to
and
this
it's
platform.
Part of the professionalisation.
It is completely and
and giving people the opportunity to race and ride and to race against each other. We're seeing this in Category 1. Really interesting how this is now developed, because if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, Vujasin, Knudsen, Popovic, Talbot, Van Elst, Martins, a real who's who. A mix of different riders. Some riders who specialise on the platform, on esports. You've got other riders who are great on the road. You've got riders who are regularly riding in different places around the globe. Very interesting to see Martin Martins now, the rider who's stretching it out. 7.5 now, heading for 8 watts per kilo. Comes into this right-hand bend, elicits a response from Talbot, 9.5 watts per kilo, which then triggers Pablo Popovic to lift the pace up towards 8 watts per kilo. His teammate Knudsen now going into the red on his wheel, as we see Martin Martins being caught by David Talbot, and Talbot goes past him on the left-hand side. Martins jumps on his wheel. They're your two leaders, but they are not alone by any stretch of the imagination at the moment. Lionel Vujasin is going to make the junction. So is Popovic. So is Knudsen. Cutler is in there just, and Van Elst and Fawcett, I think, are the two casualties of this move. They're fighting to get back in. They're having a real rough time at the back. You can be on the front, you can set the pace, or you can be at the back, experiencing it third hand, being hammered down through the rest of the bunch towards you. Another attack on the front of the Category 1 race as we see them climbing the hills. The chasing group behind you. You can see Mr. X100 at the moment, a rider who knows this climb inside out, sitting at a pace up the climb, looking to minimise his losses. He's riding at his own pace. He can maximise his effort and his speed and his pace here. This is key. You are on the climb. You've got to control your pace or you're going to be in trouble.
Well, and that's it. Different riders as well have different climbing abilities. And we've said this time and time again. X100 is fantastic at picking his own pace and riding to the top of the climb, regardless of what everybody else is doing around him. And that often plays to his strengths. He's got an absolute focus on it, and what then happens is as we come towards the end of the climb, the people who have pushed and kicked are the ones who tend sometimes to be heading backwards as X100 is coming forwards. And we see him work his way in the latter stages of these long climbs further up the group. So that steady pace works for him very, very well. But on the front at the moment is Martin Martins. I tell you what, he is a man on form at the moment. We've seen him last month ride really well. He finished second to Knudsen on the Paso Alto in the September final. So we know he is on form, and we know his climbing ability is really, really good. And it is Knudsen and Martins side by side at the moment. Popovic, well, he is 2 seconds back. They are about to come towards the Category 2 race field.
And they're coming up towards Henry Easton. The moment he's from the hip bend. He's about to get hit himself at the moment. The crosshairs are firmly on his back, and it looks like, yep, they're going to dispatch him because they're going to go over and above him. He kicks to try and stay with him, but you can see Martins leading in the white helmet, the rider with no hair immediately behind his Knudsen, then Popovic coming with the white cap on. These are the three that are there now, joined by Lionel Vujasin. Vujasin makes that group a swell as he comes to the back of the group. As he joins the back, Martins pushes at the front, still being chased by a big long raft of riders. But we have 4 race leaders at the moment. Knudsen, Martins, Vujasin right up in the mix. Popovic is in there as well. Cutler is still chasing, but the work that he did earlier on, I think, is taking its toll. And is this who jumps last longest? Because if you get the timing right here, you could jump to the line. So we're fast approaching the 40-kilometer marker for our Category 1 leaders. Remember, this is a race of 45 kilometers. We had so much action in the first few kilometers. In the next sector, running into the aquarium climb, over the climb, down the descent, up, out, round the roundabout climb, through the Badlands, heading out towards the top of the bumps and rises. We were seeing attacks. When we've come onto the climb, that initial kick has separated a lot of the group. And now, as we make our way out from Al-Ain, up on towards the slopes of this really historic mountain, we are seeing riders attacking again. Martin Martins again pushing on. Michael Knudsen trying to respond. So is Pablo Popovic. Martins, he's kicking as they go over. Still a slope of 7-8%. He's on behind. Mr. X100 has got Stefan van Elst working with him, I think, with him or hanging on to the back of him. I love, absolutely love it.
His battery's gone.
Yeah, Stefan van Elst is there. Flat battery. Good to see Mr. X100. Big thumbs up from him. He's basically talking with Stefan van Elst. Van Elst said, I've got nothing left, but mate, I've got nothing in the tank. The battery's gone flat. Mr. X100 was like, yeah, got that. Try and stay with me. And I love this because people from all over the globe, they're riding together, they're working together, they want to be at the front, they're doing everything they can, they're talking. You see the emojis coming out, the emoticons coming out, you're seeing riders like Knudsen still battling at the front.
Well, I'll tell you something.
This is all over the road, and it's from all over the globe.
It is indeed, and the friendships that are formed without even meeting someone, I think, is amazing on esports. On the MyWhoosh platform, you're meeting people, you're talking to them, you're racing week in, week out. And then when it happens, when you meet them in real life, it is like you have known each other forever. And, well, they've been racing forever because Talbot, Fawcett, X100 and Van Elst, week in, week out on the Sunday Race Club, giving it big action, big drive, big power, and lighting up the screens. We've got X100 and Stefan van Elst here. They are about to catch Henry Hughes. That is the rider they are going to see next. That is one of our Category 2 riders, one of the legendary hitmen. But further up the road, Martin Martins continues to push. This is a steep section of gradient. Martins is pushing. And this is the catch at the moment from X100 and Van Elst. Can Henry Yeast go with them at the moment? But I don't think so. I think his race day is over. Up and over they go. And the green jersey hangs back off of the 2 yellows.
It's so tempting to go with the riders when they come past you, but it is so dangerous. If you're right on the limit, you get Mr. X100 who's sat, he knows exactly how hard to work. He knows exactly how hard to push, exactly what heart rate to sit at. He comes past, he's doing what he knows is going to be comfortable. Behind, the riders come through maybe at a pace that they're yo-yoing, or he comes up to a rider who's yo-yoing. You can't push on and go in. Very dangerous. Now, same is going to happen here because we have seen Category 4 get caught by Category 3. Leaders of both categories are together. Nuki in here, it's either Nuki in the blue of Category 3 with the Manuan of Category 4. The Category 4 and Category 3 leaders are together on the road at the moment. They are working hard to stay clear of everybody else, making their way up towards the summit finish. But at the moment, they've still got a little way to go to hit that 45-kilometre mark.
Yeah, 3 kilometres to go for those 2 races. 1 lone leader in Category 3. 6 riders still fighting for those 5 places in Category 4.
So a real battle across the slopes of the Jebel Hafeet here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Who's going to come out on top? Another big move by Martin. Martin's on the right-hand side of your screen. He is absolutely on fire, but he's being answered. His problem is he's got 2 riders from the UAE clan team, Pablo Popovic and Michael Knudsen, who are the riders who are matching him time and time again.
Well, it's Vujasin who's gone. Vujasin has dropped off of that group. It was a group of 4. It's now a group of 3. And it's last week's winner who is dropped off the back. So whilst we are in with X100 working his way up the mountain, he's dropped Van Elst. Now Van Elst not able to go with him. He's signified that his battery had gone, but it really has gone. As we head back up the mountain, they are moving and moving strongly. They're about to come up onto more Category 2 riders, but it's Knudsen, Martins and Popovic at the moment, the 3 riders leading the Category 1 race.
At the moment, Mr. X100, I make him in 7th place. So that, as we were discussing, that move up and through, I think that puts him into 7th, steadily closing in on the riders in front. But not so steadily closing in is the lead group in Category 1. They're trying to keep clear of Vujasin, who's 16 seconds behind. But now they're going to get the assistance. And Popovic is using the run into this group of Category 2 to take advantage. He sprints through, uses that little bit of draft. We're still traveling at 28, 29 kilometers an hour. He's gone off the front. Now Knudsen goes with him. Have they managed to drop Martins? Nope. The answer is no, because they cannot break Martins, but equally Martins cannot lose them. And at the moment, Martins is the jam in a UAE clan sandwich. Well,
he might be, and Cutler and Vujasin are now together. Those are the 2 chasing riders. David Tolbert is the rider in between those 2 and X100. And X100 has just hit the shoulder of Jose Oviedo, one of the Category 2 riders, shortly to be dispatched, I think, by X100 as they continue up the climb.
So as you can see, right-hand side of your screen, the riders leading Category 1 are currently making the way up. There's about 10 or 12 riders, I think, in front of them. Meanwhile, a little bit further down the hillside, Jose Oviedo has got company, and it looks like he's trying to work away with Mr. X100 here. He needs to sit in his wheels. If ever there was a rider to sit on the wheel and follow, it's Mr. X100. I know, I've been out there, I've done it, it's happened. And yes, he did drop me in much the same way. He rode me off his wheel on a climb. He's doing exactly the same here to rider after rider as he's picked his pace. The question is, where will he end up in the general scheme of things by that tactic versus the race tactics here of Martins, who again attacks at 8 watts per kilo, again trying to take it to Knudsen. Martins is trying to break Knudsen, but Knudsen is a tough nut to crack. He's back on the hills and over the top he goes. And is he now going to reverse the roles? Is now the time to push. We're at 42.1k of 45k. They've gone over the top of Martins. Has Martins got anything left? Can he respond here? Is this the move? It's Knudsen with Popovic, but look at Martins. He's answering them again. They are trading more blows than you would see in a heavyweight knockout contest in a boxing ring. This is blow for blow. Now it is going to be Knudsen who's on the offensive. Popovic is trying to stay with him, and Martins has to answer this. 2 seconds, I think, is the gap between them. Now, further up the hillside, we are going to see Dont able to look back behind him and see the riders coming. It's going to be Knudsen, the nearest rider to him. Then it's going to be Popovic. Then it's going to be Martins. And Ruben Dont has got the coming behind.
Well, they are coming behind, all three of them. It is the Category 1 train of Knudsen, Popovic and Martins. Martins has just got a hold on. The gradient is at 10%, but it is about to give some relief. There is a flat coming up. Martins needs to use this almost like a finish. He needs to think of just getting to the flatter section to give him some relief as Popovic and Knudsen push on. Martins is there as well. X100 continues the train on the left-hand side. That is what is really interesting. David Talbot is going to be the next rider he sees as Popovic and Knudsen are side by side. And Martins, well, he's 6 seconds back now.
The gap has gone and the pressure was put on by Knudsen and Popovic coming round the side. They came round Don. They used a little bit of slipstream there. They managed to break Martins, and I think that is the elastic snout. Now, I can't imagine after attack, Martins has got anything left to get back to them because he was putting in move after move, and it's not that far from Martins to Jasin. It's about 30 seconds separating those two riders, so if the wheels well and truly fall off Martins, then you're going to find that his wagon is very quickly run over by the chaser behind. Now, Mr. X100 in pursuit of David Talbot. Last time we looked, the gap between them was 30 seconds. It's down to 22 seconds. Last time check I saw, but that is yo-yoing at the moment because we are on that section of terrain where we go onto that leveling off. The speeds pick up. Remember, this is done live by the relative speeds and distance covered by the riders to work out the time gaps. It's not done old school at the time gaps between fixed points on the course, so it will yo-yo up and down. We're looking to see where that's going to be when both riders are on a similar gradient. So we are making our way up towards the finish of the climb. The front of the race is Ivan Yuki. He is into his last kilometre. In fact, he's into his last 600 metres. Ivan Yuki has gone clear of all of the Category 3 riders. The nearest rider is Oleg Kochikov. He goes underneath the Jebel Hafeet banner. As he goes underneath that banner, that is the end of the climb segment, which means he's got less than 500 metres now, 400 metres to go. As you can see, we have this dip and then we rise up the Red Royal Road up to the summit here. On the top of the climb, the red carpet is out. And it's going to be welcoming home a true celebrity because he's going to take the win here. Ivan Yuki going to be the race winner. The first rider in over the line. He's going to be a Category 3 winner. What a ride by him.
Yeah, it is indeed. And he sees that banner. He continues to push. Yuki is the Category 3 winner today. He's your winner on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So the push is on behind for second. The race is coming. Martinez goes over. Gallego and Kochkov all in there. That push was on. That push was hard. It was Gallo who took it from Kochkov. That was one sprint for second place.
A really fast sprint. And don't forget, you can catch up with all the results across all of the categories 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the MyWhoosh.com website. Go on to results and look for the Sunday Race Club. Now, back to the action because we've got riders all over the road. This is the run for the line in Category 2. Graves and Simeons are together. A gap back to Betty. Surely it's between these two.
Well, who's going to go? Who's going to kick? And I think it's going to be Simmons first who goes for it. Phil Graves kicks late, but Graves kicks at 12 watts per kilo. He's going to come up and over the top of Olivia Simmons. Is he going to come up and over the top quickly enough, or is Simmons going to respond? I think it's going to be Graves who got the timing right. I think that's going to be Graves from Simmons, but we are going to have to await some results on that because that was so close. It's Popovic and Knudsen in Category 1. They've got 600 metres to go.
So 600 metres to go. Photo finishing Category 2 at the top of that climb. Going to be very close, but this is Category 1. Pablo Popovic, the man we have termed the momentum master. He knows this finish. This is his finish. He's got his name written all over this climb because he knows how to ride it. Can he do it? Can he keep Knudsen at bay? Popovic in the polka dot on his way towards the line.
He's pushing hard. Knudsen is responding behind, but Popovic is clear. He's 1 second clear, 2 seconds clear as he swings around the right-hand corner. The yellow banner is there. Popovic is going to take the Category 1 win today. Michael Knudsen, well, it's going to be second place.
So the UAE clan team with 1 and 2 across the line. They are going to be in, and we take a little bit of a look further downhill. I think Martin Martins is going to be the rider who's sitting in 3rd place. Cutler in 4th, sorry, Vujasin in 4th place. Cutler currently sitting in 5th place further down that hillside as well. So 1 and 2 over the line. Martin should be the rider over in 3rd place in the Category 1, but you can see just how tricky this finish is. The run up over the top of the segment, down into the descent, and then up to the finish of the race. Emma, that sprint and the momentum that you carry from the top of the climb to the finish of the race, really key.
Oh, absolutely, and we saw that with the sprint between Graves and Simmons. Simmons was in the lead, Graves came from behind. Graves kicked earlier than Simmons, and even though Simmons then kicked slightly higher, he didn't have the momentum that Graves had off the downhill, so Graves timed his sprint absolutely beautifully to do that. And you know what? I've got the results between Graves and Simmons. Graves took the win by 0.002 of a second. 0.2 thousandths of a second.
Wow, that is scary. 2 thousandths of a second separating those riders. Okay, let's take a little look at the screen of the riders at home so far. We have Pablo Popovic from Michael Knudsen, then Martin Mertens coming through. So 1, 2, and 3 in and across the line. Vujasin coming through for 4th with Tim Cutler in 5th. It's David Talbot in 6th. You can just see Graves and Simmons there. And as you can see, those 200ths of a second, as Emma said, separating those two riders. A true sprint photo finish between them. Now, Mr. X100 coming across the line in 7th place, held on to that 7th place, but didn't put any more gaps back on the way up. And great ride by him and picking off the riders on the way up the hillside. Great riding, great racing, and a great result here today for our riders. Gotta say, a brilliant race again. The Jebel Hafeet course never fails us, does it, Emma? It's a cracking race route with some amazing riders. Put them together on MyWhoosh, and we have a fantastic Sunday race club. So fantastic riding, fantastic racing. Make sure you catch up with all the results on the MyWhoosh.com website. At the moment they are live, they will become unofficial at the end of the race, and then they will be verified. And that means that we'll go into our qualifier race number 3 with some fresh results and some more details to bring you. It has been a pleasure putting words to the action today. My name is Matt Payne. You can catch up with me on social media at Matt Fixer Payne across pretty much every platform that I can truly and honestly be bothered to go on.
Well, it's been great to be here with Matt. My name's Emma Martin. You can find me at Biking Emma. You can also find us here next week for qualifier race number 3 in October. There's still time to join, and there's still time to get 2 verified rides in for the October final. So be quick on that keyboard. Get yourself into the Sunday Race Club next week, and we will see you there.
So from Emma here in the commentary box, from the team behind the scenes who make all of the racing happen, from the team who put the game together and the platform together, to the team who help us broadcast it and really are the engine room behind it all. Please do stay safe. But from me, Matt Payne, and everybody at MyWhoosh, we'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.